What's going on, guys? Welcome back to LOI Fan TV. And you just know I have to come back with a video for game week 8 ahead of a massive weekend of LOI action. Of course, the main event this weekend, we do have the Dublin Derby, and I am so excited to see how it goes down at the Bow. UCD playing host to Shells. Before we jump into that, we will talk about the little event that's taking place at Dalymount Park this weekend. Bohemians, of course, taking on Shamrock Rovers in another Dublin Derby, a little bit less significant, but we will have to talk about it nonetheless. Guys, I have to hand it to them. I maybe might have been wrong in my initial season prediction. Still very early doors, but Bohemians have come flying out of the traps. They are the pace setters at the top of the LOI Premier Division so far this season, with a really strong 18 points from 7 games so far, and they are absolutely flying. Declan Devine doing an incredible job with them, and they are 3 points clear of second place Derry City, the side who are probably tipped to be competing for the title against the side that Bows play host to this weekend, Shamrock Rovers. Shamrock Rovers, of course, find themselves in 6th place after a very uninspiring start to this season. They have 8 points from 7 games so far this campaign, but they are just off the back of a massive win at Oriel Park, a 4-0 win for them there, and puts them into a good position heading into this game on Friday night. They'll be full of confidence after a poor, lackluster start to the campaign. Their season's probably kicking off now, and what better way to properly kickstart their campaign after that win against Dundalk by backing it up with a massive derby win against Bohemians. That'll be Stephen Bradley's plan anyway, 100%. And yeah, listen, it's a really intriguing battle. Bohemians will of course fancy their chances. They've been amazing, as I said, so far this campaign. They've really put in a lot of impressive performances. Their only defeat this season has come at Talca Park at the hands of Shelburne, so they'll be more than confident coming into this game. They've won the 4 games since that loss against Shells. They've beaten Drogheda, they've beaten St. Pat's, they've beaten UCD, and of course had a really impressive victory away at Sligo last weekend as well. Afalabi has been excellent, and he was a player that came in last season and no one doubted his ability, but it kind of took him a little bit of a while to get going, and probably needed that pre-season behind him to probably kickstart his LOI career. You've Ali Coote, who's been in outstanding form this season, really kicked on since last year. It kind of looked like he was going to lead the club nearly last year after a poor kind of season. Him and Liam Burt kind of looked like they were going to be on the way out. Liam Burt, of course, gone to Shamrock Rovers and had a poor time of it there so far, but Ali Coote's been magnificent so far this season. Young James McManus in midfield has been outstanding. He was one player that we tipped at the start of the season in our players to watch video. He was one that we picked out and said that this kid is special and he's going to be a really good player for Bows this season. But I wasn't expecting to get as much game time as he's got, but he's been fantastic for them and looks a real star. Defensively, they've been really solid. Obviously, an area that Declan Devine identified last season as an area to improve, and it looked a bit scary there heading into the season. Of course, they kind of brought in defenders kind of very late on, just before the season started, but Christian Novak and Rakowski have been outstanding. The Polish pair at the back have been amazing, and those 2 centre backs have Bohemians in pole position so far this season. Hey, like that? No? Yeah. But yeah, just looking at Bowes' kind of 11 this season compared to last year, it's much more well-rounded, much stronger in all areas, and they look a real force to be reckoned with. Then Shamrock Rovers, of course, very disappointing start to the season, but Stephen Bradley will take a lot of confidence from that victory at Oriel Park. A really impressive win. Rory Gaffney, Lee Grace, Johnny Kenny and Graham Burke on the score sheet, so the goals are back in the side and they have plenty of options to pick from, and yeah, it's a really strong outfit, and this would be a big test for them. Can they back up that victory with a second one in quick succession and kind of push on this season from there? It's a big task for them. Obviously, going to Dalymount Park has been tricky for them in recent years. It's been quite up and down during the Keith Long era. Keith Long had a nice spell of getting victories over Rovers consistently, but obviously that kind of came to an end towards the end of Keith Long's reign. So completely different proposition now this year under Declan Devine. It's gonna be a really hard game for Rovers. It's fantastic with the new stand, the mono stand there as well for the away support. It gives the whole stadium a bit of a boost, and I think it's going to be a cracking atmosphere. Obviously sold out well in advance as well, so we are in for a hell of a tie. Will that sense of occasion maybe get to Bows a little bit? They obviously have a couple of young players in their squad, maybe not have experienced this sort of atmosphere before, whereas obviously you have Shamrock Rovers full of your seasoned pros, your players that have played in these big games and have won titles and won leagues and have played in Europe and stuff, and I think that could give them an edge heading into this one. And just that sense of occasion, I think Rovers could manage that maybe a little bit better. Scoreline prediction, I usually get it wrong, so no doubt about it that I will get it wrong again. And it's really, really boring. But I am going to go down the middle. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. I just can't separate these two heading into this one. It's going to be it's an impossible game to call. It always is. I wouldn't actually be surprised if Bows pull it off and do beat them, but I'm going to go for Rovers. Just having that bit of experience and just having enough about them, enough quality to be able to get a point here. Then taking a look at the rest of the games this week, of course, we have Derry City playing host to Drogheda United. Derry City, of course, off the back of a really impressive win at Talca Park. A little bit controversial with a couple of refereeing decisions that Damien Duff was very, very displeased with and made his feelings known at the end of the game, especially after Paddy Barrett sending off, which I think Derry City fans can agree as well was an absolutely shambolic decision by the referee, really, really poor. And the standards across the league, I think all the fans can agree it needs to be raised. I never like criticising refs. It's a tough job. No one really wants to do, and the abuse they get isn't acceptable at times, but the standards need to be raised. But as for Derry, Dale City has a huge opportunity for them to kind of get back a couple of points on Bows. They'll potentially see Bohemians dropping points at Dalymount Park this weekend, and obviously a home game against Drogheda United. If they have any real title aspirations, which of course they do, they need to be getting all 3 points. Drogheda in their own right have been very, very strong this season. They picked up a lot of points along the way and find themselves in 5th position. So it won't be an easy game for Derry City, but I do see them comfortably enough picking up the 3 points, having too much quality for Drogheda all over the park. And I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win. Next up at Oriel Park, we have Dundalk against Sligo Rovers. A tough one to call here as well. This is 3rd against 4th, but you wouldn't see Dundalk as a 3rd place side after that performance at Oriel last week. A really, really poor showing from them, whereas Sligo, of course, suffered a home defeat to Bohemians by 1-0. And before that Shamrock Rovers games, Dundalk had been in decent enough form. They'd, of course, beaten St. Pat's by 5-0. They'd beaten Shells 2-1 at home as well. They'd drawn up in Derry, which is a good result as well, and beaten Drogheda away from home. So that kind of result, especially with Rovers' form going into it, was definitely out of the blue. But yeah, Dundalk need to kind of regroup after that and put it right straight away. I wouldn't write Sligo Rovers off here at all, and you might get good value in like a double chance type bet in this one if you are looking to do that sort of thing. But I do think that Sligo will just narrowly miss out on getting any points here at Oriel. I think Dundalk will just about edge it. I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win. St. Patrick's Athletic find themselves in a bit of a relegation battle, don't they? 8th place in the league, and they face fellow relegation strugglers or relegation battlers, whatever you want to call it, Cork City, who are in 9th. You would have expected to have been down there at the start of the season, but St. Pat's certainly not. Pressure certainly on Tim Clancy. Of course, Pat's being in 8th is completely unacceptable, and they need to start rising up the table very, very soon. And he is probably on a little bit of thin ice with St. Pat's, with their supporters at the moment. Following the disappointing home defeat against Bohemians, Tim Clancy actually came out and said that St. Pat's fans were well within their right to be disappointed and be fuming with the team's current form. And of course, he's correct in saying that. And it was good of him to acknowledge that as well. But that only gets you so far. St. Pat's fans are demanding results, and this one needs to be one where they win. I think if they drop any points in this game, it could be curtains for Tim Clancy. They did get back in the win column in their latest game, a 3-0 win at home to UCD, who of course bottom of the league, and to be hoping to back that up with a win against 9th place Cork, who have found it difficult as of late. As I said, Cork off the back of 2 home games, one which of course was a defeat at home to Shelbourne 2-0, and of course they did draw 1-1 with Drogheda at home last week as well. But I do expect St. Pat's to have too much quality for this Cork side here. Cork of course did go up to Tallaght Stadium and drew, and were probably unlucky to have drawn and probably should have held on to win the game. It was a crazy game, 4-4 I think, wasn't it? So yeah, they'll be definitely they'll probably hope they can approach it in a similar manner to that and hope they can nick something here. But I do think Pats should have too much for Cork here. I'm going to go for a 2-0 home win. And finally, as I told you at the start of the video, the massive, massive Dublin derby this weekend. UCD playing host to Shelbourne. UCD, as I mentioned just previously there, off the back of a 3-0 defeat against St. Pat's. So they'll be looking to try and get something from this game to keep them in contention, but they look quite poor and look like they're destined probably to finish 10th this season. Unfortunately, never write them off. Of course, we saw what they did last year, but yeah, they don't look at it this year, really, to be fair. Shelbourne, on the other hand, probably a mixed bag so far this season, but that's probably what you'd expect from them, a little bit of a mid-table-y type side. with slight aspirations for maybe cracking into top four-ish, but maybe need a couple more players to do so. Obviously, Sean Boyd being injured, their main talisman, the main striker, doesn't help that one bit. But I expect them to go to the bowl here and collect all 3 points. I'm going to go for a 3-1 Shells win. Well, guys, there you have it. My predictions ahead of a cracking game week 8 in the League of Ireland Premier Division. Let me know how you think the games are going to go down in the comments below. It is much appreciated if you can drop a like in the video as well. And make sure to subscribe. All your support is greatly appreciated, as I said. And I will catch you in a bit.